Hi everyone, hope you are having a great day. This is Tony here at the Lawazi Hackathon Workshop. Here I have one of our participants, so please tell us about yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Takudzwa Musarurwa. So I'm a software engineer at the University of Cape Town, working in the Lawazi Open Data Science projects. So basically, what we're trying to do is to develop a platform for African researchers to come and do their research and share data in a federated way, and also access computing like from different parts of Africa. And also in that part, incorporating GA4J standards, which are more focused on genomics and health. So that is also part of the platform itself, like in the implementation. So I guess that's me in short.
Okay, so Taku, you tell us that you sort of work as a data scientist. So you currently are collecting data. Is it mostly human data? Is it viral or pathogen data?
So the data that we're working with, because we don't collect it like directly per se, but the
Okay.
platform itself allows people to post their data and share their data.
Okay.
But the data they work with, it's so varied. Like you have people with genetic data, we have people with clinical data.
Okay.
Some have, I think, geospatial data, and some is to do with the forecasts, and there's imaging as well. So there's a lot of diverse, like different data sets across Africa, because we have like a lot of different projects within the DSI Africa, which is
Okay.
our main recipients of the softwares that we're developing.
Okay, so once people submitted all the different kinds of data in the data platform, I assume that's where you need to come in now. You need to sort of clean up this data, make it accessible.
Yes, so we have like different streams.
Okay.
At Wazi. There's one which deals cataloging the data and making sure that it's discoverable.
Okay.
And we have another team again which deals with harmonization, just to make sure that the data is sort of like uniform when you then post it, so that when people try to discover it, they're looking for the same things. You can easily tell that, okay, this is the same clinical data I'm finding in Botswana is the same as the clinical data I'm finding in Mali.
Okay.
So we're making sure that everything else is the same. Yes.
Okay.
So once that data is ready now, my particular focus is like developing APIs where you can then index that data, right? Say the data that they have in Mali, how do you find it? If you find it on the catalog, right, how do you then access it? So we develop APIs now for you to access that data, and also APIs for you to then like send it to compute and run your analysis, right, on different like computing environments.
Okay, so for those of us who are not very familiar, just tell us quickly what is, G for GH, and then you also mentioned that, you work with developing a lot of APIs. So how easily is it for someone to access this data? Is there some barrier of entry?
So there's not really. I can I can say there's a barrier to some extent, because again, this data it's owned by the different projects, right?
Okay.
So in some cases, you might need to be part of that project. You might need to be part of a specific research group
Okay.
to access their data. Or in some cases, if you search through the catalog, the Ulazi catalog, you should be able to see which data requires you to request for access, or which one is publicly available. I'm sure there are certain public data sets that are available there. So those are easily accessible. And within the APIs themselves, like I mentioned, I hear you asking about like the GA4GH. So GA4GH stands for Global Alliance for Genomics and Health. So it's a community of people who are developing standards, and they also maintain standards for that data, for genomic data and clinical data, and also tools that we then use to access that data or to run computations. So, like I was mentioning, the APIs that we are using, we have the Dish API, which you can use to index your data and like have metadata for where that data is sitting, right? And also allows you accessing that data again. And we also have like the WES implementation, which allows you to send your workflows to it. If you send your workflows to the WES implementation, and then it submits it to compute, and then you get your results. There's also the tool registry service, right, which allows you to sort of like catalog your workflows. If you're doing bioinformatics research, you can catalog your workflows in there. So yeah, there are a lot of APIs within GA4J. I just like scratched the surface here. Like
Sure,
there are a lot
sure.
more. There are a lot more. Yeah.
Okay, and then in terms of your sort of day-to-day work, what are some of the challenges that you have to deal with?
Well, the challenges are that like data science is it's a really diverse space,
Yes.
and you really need to be specific uh, in certain cases. Because remember, like I was mentioning the other day, you're dealing with genomic data, and then someone else comes with clinical data. Now, these are going to be like two different use cases. If I have
Okay.
one API which really works well in using workflows to analyze genomic data, it's going to be different as compared to someone trying to do something maybe machine learning.
Okay.
Maybe we're gonna need another API, which is actually something we are exploring at GFOJ to see if we can try and standardize federated machine learning. In cases where you can access clinical data from somewhere else, can we develop a standard for someone to actually do that, without moving the data from different countries or making it cross borders? But there are tools for that again, which we are looking at again to say, okay, can these tools be helpful to us? In our cases. I think within DSI Africa, we have other projects again, which we have like clinical data, and they will also want to have like that kind of use case for machine learning. So it's always a learning curve. You're always learning a lot, and you're always
Okay.
exploring new technologies and trying to find all the pieces that work and trying to bring them together.
Okay, so you spoke about, AI. I assume, we are in the fourth industrial revolution or the digital age now. There's a lot of hype around AI because the functionalities, but also the effectiveness it brings. Do you use a lot of that in your work, or do you sort of foresee a future where that's integrated?
I do use it in my work, of course, for coding. Sometimes when you're lazy, there are certain features you
Yes,
get
yes.
if you need references to something. And again, going forward, I think it's going to be included in a lot of aspects, honestly speaking, because just that analysis alone, I mean, people are developing these tools. Once you develop a model, you're probably going to use it like going forward, like a lot. So hopefully in the future, like within the Lwazi platform itself, we're definitely going to come to a point where we're actually implementing like specific AI models that are like fitting for us, maybe large language models and the likes. But yeah, the opportunities are there and the possibilities it's really there.
Okay. And then you been working at, you mentioned the University of Cape Town for quite some time now. And, did you always knew that you were going to sort of pursue a career in data science? What's your background? Like, what did you study?
So my background is in computer science.
Okay.
So I did my honors in computer science, then I did my masters in data science. So I already had some exposure to AI. I had like interest in AI,
Okay.
but my interest now were like, okay, with this AI thing, how can we leverage it maybe in medicine or in
Okay.
biology and stuff like
The
that?
application.
The application part of it. So I chose a project in genetics, in human genetics. I
Okay.
was performing brain coding. So I got exposed to almost all the stuff that I'm doing for work now.
Oh, at a young.
You see, so it makes me feel like I'm in the right place because you're trying to use like all the skills that you have, and you can easily like integrate them and relate to each and every aspect of whatever you're doing.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's also fun in the case that like you don't want to keep doing something that is redundant. Personally, I would want that. Keep doing the same thing over and over again. You want to be a place that's always changing. So that's
Novelty.
dynamic. Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Exactly.
Okay, and then, as we sort of come to the end of this interview, I think I have two more questions for you. Now, you have much experience in terms of, in data and you're working. What advice would you give someone, upcoming scientist who might come from a, previously disadvantaged background? They might not get exposure to computer science or they don't have that infrastructure. What's your advice for the next generation of scientists?
Yeah, I think for the next generation of scientists, I would say that like the curiosity will take you a long way. Like first you have to be curious. You have to have like whatever idea you're going to think, just be curious enough to say, how do I do this? Just explore, read as much as you can. I mean,
Okay.
like information is there, like on the internet right now. You can find free courses, you can find like competitions and see like data science and stuff like that. Explore as much as you can. Like, don't think you have like the silliest ideas. Because most of the times you realize that an idea you think is silly, once you implement it, you do probably solve the problem that people have been struggling with for years. Maybe you're the one who has a solution. So don't just like sit on ideas. When you have them, explore like opportunity, explore like chances of how you can try and implement it, and like just don't be scared of anything. Like just get in there, get your hands dirty, and get the skill.
You have to sort of
Makes it easier.
put your ideas out there for the world to challenge you to see whether
Exactly.
there's a pathway or not.
Exactly, exactly. Because I feel like a lot of times people we tend to criticize ourselves. You think of something and then you criticize it in your head and you just shut it off. You're like, yeah, maybe this won't work, or maybe I don't think that this is a stupid idea. But you don't know that really. You don't know what impact it
You have
will
to
have.
test
You
it.
know, you have to test it. Yeah.
Okay. And then I think my last question for you is, we've seen Africa being behind in terms of the socio-economic level compared to the global north, and we've seen there's funding challenges with age, there's sort of geopolitical risk, and as the world becomes more fragmented almost, how does South Africa, what is the best way, do you think, that we sort of deal with this challenge? Is it to have more, training opportunities to give people, or have more job opportunities? How do we sort of move forward to ensure that Africa will become, the next superpower?
So, in my opinion, I think it actually stems like from the beginning when we have like kids in high school, or
Okay.
just people in the community who are really afraid of tech, and when you look at it, you think that it's something that is so much out of this world. But if you start teaching kids in high school about AI and how you can actually implement it, and they try and apply it to their day-to-day life, it won't be something that is so intimidating to them. So when you actually
Okay.
get to the point where, let's say, maybe you're doing your honors degree or you're doing your masters, your projects are easily relatable because already you have accepted the technology as just a tool you can use.
Right.
Not as something that is so out of this world. Because the moment you get intimidated by it, a lot of people are going to be discouraged to go, especially into STEM, because they think that like it's going to be difficult. Like it's maybe brainiacs, it's maybe for the first world and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like people have laptops in high school, they can watch movies, but if you teach them to say that, okay, the only thing you need to do if you want to do a certain AI project or something like that, you just need to download these softwares. And if they do that and they implement something like that, maybe at home or they're in a garden or something like that, you see, when they grow up, they have like sort of this confidence to say, you can do it anyway, you can actually make it bigger as we grow. Yeah, so I think
Try to expose people early in their age
exactly.
in terms of science or other technologies. So by the time that they've reached, a level of, high school or university, they already have that background being exposed. So they actually know, what career path they want to pursue.
Yes,
And
yes.
obviously, given the education or the knowledge that can sort of uplift them to give them all opportunity to grow and upskill themselves.
Yes, yes, and they will have confidence, like in the toolkits themselves, that you use to develop this. Less intimidation. I always feel like I've been seeing it from my peers. I'm like, you're studying computer science. You shouldn't be intimidated by certain things. Like when I say
Programming
artificial
language.
intelligence now,
Yeah.
you know, you're the person who's supposed to say we're going to lose jobs. You're supposed to think to say, okay, we can do this. Well, how can we make it useful
Better.
for us and beneficial?
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah.
Okay, no. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you so much.